Hi guys.
Welcome to Ukrainian stand-up comedy channel, our podcast, PeaceTalk Podcast. Today we had two very special international guests, two international comedians, Victor Patraskan and Fedor Ikelaaar. We had very good conversation with them.
Yeah.
It was fun. So check it out. Make sure to give this video a like. Just do it now. Just do it now. And subscribe to our channel.
And write a comment below this video.
Hello, welcome to Ukrainian stand-up comedy podcast, PeaceTalk. And we have two special guests here today with us, Victor and Fedor. So they came here with a show to do in a show they're doing in Lviv tonight. And then you're off to Kyiv where you're going to do a performance. Also, Chernivtsi, right, is on the list. And so your host, Anastasia Sil, my co-host, Valeria Mikhailova.
Hi everyone.
Hello. So, right, I'm supposed to ask questions, right? So what brought you guys to Ukraine?
A car.
A car. Right, I heard about your struggles.
Intellectual answers.
Oh, yeah.
Well, for me, it's the second time. During wartime, I've been before as well. The short answer is I had some time in my schedule, and I wanted to do something for Ukraine, which in my case was not so much doing the comedy show, but bringing some goods to an animal shelter and then do a show while I was here, which kind of led to us coming here now, for me for a second time, him for a first time, because it was both a good experience, and it's nice audiences here. And also we're comedians, so stage time is stage time, or not, doesn't matter.
True. So the event that you're doing today, it's 100 proceeds is going to go to two different charities. I know you had each a pick of a charity. So yours was to do with dogs, right?
Yes.
And children is...
Humans. I'm on the human side. I'm for humans.
With a slight preference for children, which is troubling, but that's fine.
In charities, that's...
This is the beginning of the podcast. If this is the start, where do we go from here?
We spend too much time in the car together. This is...
So you said you're bringing some goods for the shelter. Is your car packed with stuff for the shelter?
It's not fully packed, but I'm mainly, just like last time, bringing animal mats, which is relatively compact because I got a normal-sized car, so I cannot bring... dog food, for instance. The animal shelter is so big that they go to 2 tons of dog food a day. Wow. So with my normal car, I can basically bring half a day's worth of food. So that's not that efficient, but animal mats are relatively small and compact. So, you can put a big box of that, goes a long way.
True.
And I'm here with childish jokes.
Childish jokes. Okay, tell us a joke.
Bring some humor to this table.
Every comedian loves that moment when someone's like, "You're a comedian. Tell us a joke."
Like a street joke. I love.
Know, childish.
Can I tell you a street joke?
Street joke.
Yes. A father and his son are sitting in a bath, and the child goes, "Daddy, why are our penises different?" And the father goes, "Well, son, mine's erect."
And I think it's first time when we ask someone to tell a joke and the person tells.
Yeah. And I kind of regret asking it now.
Yeah. We all kind of regret you asking it.
I know more. I guess that's not the point of this.
Don't encourage him.
Okay, so for our audience, do you mind sharing a little bit about your experience as a comedian? So how long have you guys been doing stand-up comedy each? So maybe Victor, you can tell us.
I've started doing comedy about 11, 12 years ago in London, and I haven't gotten better.
Since the day one in London?
Yeah. I think I peaked on my first performance, and it's been going downhill since then.
So what was so amazing about your first performance?
I got a complaint Someone complained about the first joke I told on stage, which is way too inappropriate for this podcast, even though I've said an inappropriate joke just a minute ago. So yeah, that was my first performance. I got almost kicked out of the comedy club.
Which comedy club was it?
The University College London Comedy Club.
We suck.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I mean, I don't know.
You asked. So,
Okay.
Yeah, so that's my story. Exciting.
But, okay, well, you've been doing amazing things since then. You've been traveling all over the world, performing, doing stand-up all over Europe.
Yeah.
Outside of Europe, not sure.
A little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah. On the Asian side of Istanbul. So I performed on the European side, and then I crossed the Bosphorus on the Asian side, and I was like, I'm an international comedian.
There you go. Awesome.
Yeah.
So how many countries have you done stand-up in?
Most of the countries in Europe so far.
Yeah, you lost count?
Well, I'm still trying to find a venue in the Vatican.
Good luck with that. You have some pretty great jokes for Vatican, you know, for children and stuff.
Yeah.
And fathers.
It's his niche audience.
Yeah. So it's really nice to be here. Like people are really nice. Like here in Ukraine, we've been here for 2 days, and everyone is extra nice. Like a little bit upsettingly. Like I'm like, just calm down. This is like, you don't have to be this nice. This is okay. It's fine. We understand. It's war. Sometimes there's no electricity. It's like you don't have to explain. It's fine. But people are like so nice and welcoming, and yeah, everyone's been great. The food is great. The candy, I love the candy and the pastry and So it's nice to be here. Unfortunately, it's not the best of times, but thank you very much for such a warm welcome.
Yeah. I'm very happy that you're having such a delightful experience here in Lviv.
Yeah,
That's
this is exactly what people want to hear. So how's the war going? Delightful.
Sending the pictures of food we had at the restaurant.
Yeah.
The craft beers I'm drinking. Yeah, great.
So how is war? We had a dinner with candles, yeah?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. Very romantic. Yeah.
Lviv is such a romantic place.
Yeah.
Okay, and Fedor, so can you tell us a little bit about how you started out in stand-up?
Yeah, I've been doing stand-up for, I think, about 6 years now. I started doing stand-up very randomly in Nepal because I was kind of living there temporarily at the time, and it wasn't even my idea. Somebody else suggested at a co-working space. I was kind of like roasting him, and he suggested to try it, and then he kind of forced me to try it. And then I enjoyed it, and now I'm doing it full time. And just like Victor, also touring a lot. I think we're both like what you might call road comedians.
Yeah.
So all across Europe. I go a bit more outside of Europe, but then again, I also started outside of Europe, so that makes a bit more sense. It's for me. It's a great, like, I love doing comedy. I love the entertaining aspect, the creative aspect of it, but I also have always loved traveling, so it's a great thing for me. Opportunity to combine those two things. And
That's great.
Go to gorgeous places during war.
So this is your second time in Ukraine since the full-scale war started.
Yeah.
But you've been here before the war too, right?
Yeah.
Twice.
Twice, yes. I've been to the Crimea before it got annexed. Then I've been east before that became a mess. So it might be a curse that I'm here, basically, is what I'm saying. It might not be a good thing.
Do you think it was your fault?
Might be.
No, we don't blame anyone except the Russians for everything that's going on.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I'd been here twice before, but both like over 10 years ago. And also impressed with how the country has developed since. It's much more progressive than it was back then, much more modernized. Like it made giant leaps. I'm still like today as well, just walking around impressed with, the simple things like the quality of restaurants, which is, I technically live in Bulgaria and I eat better here.
Yeah, that's interesting because Bulgaria is pretty popular with tourists, right? Or is it like mostly in the summer?
Yeah, but also it attracts like the tourists that come are the tourists that just want a cheap destination, so they're not looking for quality food or quality craft beers. Bulgaria has some nice quality craft beers nowadays, but it's pleasantly impressed.
So you're big on craft beer, right?
Yes, I might have a drinking problem. That's what I'm saying.
You can just say you're into craft beer. You don't have to admit that you have a problem.
A connoisseur.
Yeah. So what was your beers that you've tasted here, the best beers so far, or something you enjoyed, or nothing? I don't know.
I forgot the names mainly because they were written in Cyrillic, and for me those are basically hieroglyphs. I have no idea what's happening.
Yeah.
I'm dyslexic, so I already struggle with my own alphabet, let alone other alphabets. But I had a few sours which were impressive, like sour beers.
Nice. Yeah, we have a lot of different breweries here in Ukraine, and it became a thing in last 2 years. I mean, I don't know. I've only been living in here for 2 years, so it seems to me like it became a thing. Maybe it was here before, but every pub seems to have craft beer selection, and it's pretty awesome. It's local manufacturers.
I can say that it's more than 2 years. It's maybe 7-10 years. It was started.
So Valeria is from Kharkiv. Actually, she moved here because of the war now.
The noisy neighbors, yeah.
The noisy neighbors, yeah. So how was the craft beer selection in Kharkiv?
There are a lot of beer restaurants, and my first place I've performed for money was in such a place.
Stand-up.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Stand-up.
Yeah. It was necessary to say that it was stand-up,
Yeah, I'm not a drinker myself, but while here, I tried the beer, but I have to go to the bathroom very often, so I'm gonna give peace a chance.
Peace? You're gonna give pee a chance?
It's a joke about being wartime and
Needing to pee.
yeah, and also peace as in, you know what I mean?
Multiple.
Like no war. You know what I mean? But also like
It's a great joke. You should open with that today.
Yeah. And with explanation as well. The frequency
You haven't
with which
understood
you
it
need
for the
to
first
explain
time, but-
jokes is trouble.
I think the problem is the crowd here. Like I'm blaming the crowd today.
So yesterday, I was hosting this show at it's called University of Craft Beer St. Christopher's. So and you guys came in and did 5 minutes each on the open mic. How was that experience? So that was for you. It was the first time performing for Ukrainian audience.
Yeah.
How was it?
As you've seen in the past 5 minutes, I'm not waiting for laughs. I'm used to saying things and people go like, do you actually mean something else? So it's great. I love this. This is like every time I get a chance to perform at a local show, in spite of the fact that people don't want me to perform, I love it. I think it's my favorite experience. This is a dream. I think for you too, to do comedy and to be able to have an experience where you can find one single person in the audience that understands you, and you're like, I am doing this for you. You know what I mean? And everybody kind of looks at this person and goes like, should we laugh now? No, okay, we shouldn't be laughing. Okay. So yeah, it was great. Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, I just want to mention that it was not an English show. It was a Ukrainian open mic, and then we presented them as special guests, and not a lot of people understood English. But
I think that that guy that was understanding everything that's going on, he was like Neo from Matrix.
Oh, no, it was a Georgian lady. Because I spoke to her. I was like, thank you very much. She was like, I am from Georgia. I'm like, what?
Who was from Georgia?
A lady in the crowd.
With the little dog, with the pug.
Oh, okay. See,
with the blind
she
pug.
had a strange name. It was Lika. Like
Lika,
Lika,
yeah.
but with an L.
Yeah.
So, I didn't get to talk to them, but I spoken to other people in the audience, and there are a lot of people from different countries. There was one of the comedians from Brussels, and then there was a girl who's currently living in
Berlin? Julia?
in Berlin, and some other country. I think Czechoslovakia.
I don't think that's a country.
No,
anymore.
that's not a country. And I'm not even that old. I think it was Slovakia. Let's go with that one.
I think someone from Prussia. I think Atlantis. Big group from
and then
Atlantis.
There was a big group of they went because they're mermaids.
They're underwater. Yeah.
Great show.
Surprisingly diverse, yes. No, that's-
Great. So where are you off to after Ukraine? I know you have a show coming up in Australia.
Well, we're heading to Romania first. Where we'll have one last show together.
Yeah, we're going to Cluj.
Oh, that's going to be your last show together?
Yes.
You're going to make it special?
No.
No?
Why is,
How many shows
we're not
have
getting
you,
divorced.
How many
This is
shows
not
have you done together so far?
Sorry?
How many shows have you done together so
Well,
far?
we've done a little tour last year in August where we went from Bansko, where in Bulgaria, where Fedor just moved to at the time. And we did a show there, and then we drove all the way to the Netherlands. And we did like shows throughout like the Balkans and through Europe. It was really cool.
So we definitely at least done, like together we've done probably like 10 countries at least.
Yeah.
I don't know how many shows.
Well, 15, 20 shows.
Yeah, something like that.
But we've collaborated. We've known each other for a few years. So every so often we meet up and we do some adventure.
Yeah.
This is the adventure of this year.
There are not that many comedians that like really tour as much as we do. Most just are based in their own country, even if they do English comedy in a exactly. Or they can afford a home. That's
Or
also
maybe they
one
have
of the reasons.
I don't know.
Why are you looking at me when it's like afford the home?
You can afford homes.
Like-
But so yeah, we keep running. The few comedians that tour a lot, you keep kind of running into each other in different countries, which is nice. Makes it feel like it's still relatively a small scene, even though you're all over the place.
I haven't traveled that much, but I've been to Canada and England. And then in England, I bumped into a Canadian comedian that I saw in Canada like 2 weeks before, and it was so random. But like I think it happens often in London. Like other comedians were saying that like a lot of international comedians bump into each other. I think because of the lack of venues and open mics in London. So you kind of, if you're two comedians from different countries, you're kind of destined to bump into each other in London. But yeah. I wanted to ask you, so you kind of like explained it, but so why is it just two of you? Do you do like other tours with other comedians, or do you have maybe it's the chemistry that you like, or is it the fact that no one just wants to come along? I mean,
You didn't have to end that sentence like that.
It's fine until
We're exclusive to each other. We're in an exclusive relationship. We don't collaborate with other people. It's
You
like
have a special bond.
yeah.
it's well that even so yeah, I think for us both it's kind of the same. Sometimes we just tour alone with a solo show, sometimes with other people. Even on the way over here, so I did a small tour from the Netherlands up until Lublin, kind of up until the border, and then I had two other comedians with me from the Netherlands, from the Dutch scene, and I did a show called Best of Amsterdam, and then from Lublin sent them back home, and then he came. And you were doing shows with alone or with other people in Hamburg?
I've been trying to collaborate more and more over the past maybe 6 months because it's like being on the road by yourself is just boring. But you're with someone you can like tell jokes about, fart. And like, hey. Well, obviously you're not laughing, but when we're
Didn't tell a
together,
joke.
that's why we travel together because we fart and we fart in Morse code.
Morse code?
Yeah, we don't have to communicate verbally.
He has like grumpy farts in the morning, and during the day they get happier.
And you guys are like an old couple.
Yes,
You know each other's fart schedule.
We're like the odd couple. We're like, Walter Matthau and...
But it's, especially for me, at least for this trip, I'm like, I hate admitting that I'm happy he's here. Because last time when I...
Did you get that on camera?
I still deny it, even though it's on camera. It's deep fake. Last time when I was here, which was like 2 months ago, I mean, I had a good experience, but it also had a big impact. You hear a lot of like heavy stories of stuff that happened also at the animal shelter. Actually, most of my friends that I already had there are from Kharkiv, so that's not always too nice of stories that they have to tell, unfortunately. So there's, you get a lot of tough things to hear and to process, and then at the end of the day, being alone, and it's nicer to have somebody to make completely inappropriate jokes about those things as a way to process it.
Yeah,
for the listeners, you know what I mean? It's all very sensitive what's happening, and it's very tragic, but we tell jokes about everything that we see.
We're comedians, that's our coping mechanism, and that's how we process things too. And that's why everyone likes comedy, because it helps to release emotions and talk about things that maybe you don't know a right approach to talk about.
To release the tension. And, war brings a lot of tension, so there's a lot to release, unfortunately. So, in that sense, I'm definitely happy that, I have somebody to sometimes be serious about it, but also to joke about it, just to do something with it. Because last time I just and the curfews were a bit earlier back then, so just sitting alone in a room, processing all the horrible stories I've heard. It's good to have somebody to complain to.
Aww.
Even though it's him.
I feel like 80% of the sentences that you guys say are great, but then the last 20%, it's like...
Not us.
Too brute.
I wanted to ask you, so you have a trip planned, or shows planned in Romania, so your home country.
Yeah.
Are you excited about that? Is it going to be in English? No?
I don't know. It's like Romanians, it's very strange for me to speak English in Romania.
From the looks of you look like it's going to be great for you to be there. You'll fit
I'll get a haircut. Is that what you're trying to say? It's good you can explain to the barber what you want.
Finally.
You've been through these foreign countries. It's like, number 2, can I get a number 2?
In Ukraine, there's... that's how they do men's haircuts, but by numbers.
Yeah, everyone has the same haircut here. I've noticed that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. In North Korea, that's a punishment. Everyone has to have Kim's. The haircut.
The Zelensky. You just go, you go to the barber shop, you got the Zelensky.
Everybody has to be a comedian. Everyone wants to run for president. You have a choice. Either Zelensky or Kanye.
I don't.
All right, that took a serious turn.
But every time I'm performing with some people, I was thinking, who will be our next president?
From the comedians?
Yeah.
So who do you think is going to be next president?
It will be Vadim Dzunko.
Dzunko? It's one of the comedians. I think it's going to be the dog Patron. Do you know about that dog?
There's a dog?
He's a minesweeper dog. Yeah, He's
Oh.
super famous. I don't know if we have any pictures of him. He's very famous. He's just like this little dog, and he's a minesweeping dog.
Yeah.
And, he's saving lives. He's doing a great job. I've been doing this... I started doing this interactive bit with the audience, and I kind of... Because I have some stage fear, so to deal with it, I decided to start putting the audience down. And I would be like... You guys are so boring. And this is why, you're there, I'm here. So listen to what I have to say. Anyways, and I'm like, well, prove you're not boring. Tell me what you do for work. And then they say whatever. And I'm like, well, have you heard about the dog, Patron? He works for the army. He's a minesweeping dog. And a dog has a better job than you.
Yeah. Worse, even they're minesweeping. I don't think they use them here, but they're minesweeping rats.
Wow, and
if you look it up, there was one, I think they used them in Cambodia to find all these mines, and he retired, and they gave him a little...
Oh my God, I'm going to Google the shit out of that. Okay, I want to see a little mouse.
I forgot the name of the specific rat, but minesweeping rat, look at it, you'll find him with a little medal.
Rat general, ready for duty.
When I was 11, I used to be in computer class, and I was a minesweeping miner.
Wow.
Because I was a miner, and I was playing Minesweeper on the computer.
I'm sorry.
I'm trying to bring some joy to this thing. But I really like that the choice is that both of you, two comedians, women, looking at each other going like, yeah, it's probably going to be a man or a dog. But no, none of you were like, probably a woman. Like the next president could be a woman. No, a dog. It could be the dog, right?
I said about Vadim because he's so cute and he's so nice. He's so kind. Oh. And I want to hear his speech for the New Year time.
I'm usually the one hitting on
Congratulations
on
about
this podcast. What are you trying to do here? Are you trying to steal my man? Is that what's happening?
Who's this Vadim guy?
Oh, he's amazing.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that he's not your boyfriend.
Okay.
You already told about it.
Well, a girl can dream. Anyways. Maybe you guys will meet him later. No, they're going to leave and then they're going to be like, there's this comedian in Ukraine, a real ladies' man, Vadim Dzunko.
I know why they mentioned the dog, because this is a cat fight.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, Lord.
I'm
wasted.
I'll let you have that. I'll let that one slide.
My talents are wasted. Anyway.
Yeah, so I don't know, what else did we need to ask?
You don't need to ask anything.
What do you want to tell us? We're very professional hosts.
Yeah. Like a job interview. So where do you see yourself in 5 months?
Yeah,
What are your strong points and what are your weaknesses?
Well, I saw you specifically, Victor, enjoy Lviv so much. Like yesterday, you were running around with your cell phone taking pictures, so I think you're going to be back here soon. I think you're going to be back to Lviv.
Yes.
Do you think so?
Actually, yeah. I'm looking at the venues. Like I like that you're walking around in it. Like, this is a theater. This is a space.
Yeah, true. We were walking here to the office, and on the way, the guys were looking at all the big venues. So maybe Malevich next year, who knows? Or opera.
And next opera.
Yeah. What was the biggest venue each of you have done so far?
Not that big. Which was one which was big and both nice is in Slovenia. Every August they have the Punch Comedy Festival there. Which is in the capital Ljubljana, in the center on the hill. You have a castle, and it's like kind of in the castle, like in the courtyard of the castle, and there are a few hundred people in the audience. But it's just such a both gorgeous place to do it, and
performing in the castle. Wow.
Which also is not the ideal comedy setup, as you know, but still, it's like it's so cool that it's definitely worth it. So
Did you have like an?
Yeah, we did. We both did that festival last year, and I did my biggest venue this year in May in Warsaw, 500-seater.
Wow.
It was really humbling, really cool that the Polish people came to see.
Were you more
stuff.
nervous before this show than usual shows, or just the same?
I don't understand this question. Like everyone asks me, "Are you nervous?" I'm like, a little bit. I don't know. I guess you know what I mean. You care about the show, but you're more excited to do something like this. You know, more excited to see how the crowd responds. I like to do crowd work, so it's very interesting to talk to like a huge theater with like people from like the 15th row, like up the hill, whatever. So. Yeah.
How did that work out? Were they just like yelling at you? Could you hear them well?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. Like people understand that you're far away. But I don't think they're talking. Yes. So I work in IT. What? Why can't he hear me? Like you can hear me. So yeah, it's. This is what's great about comedy in English, and I think this is what's great about the fact that we communicate through English. Like, look at us; we're from different countries, yet we communicate through this language, right? And it's great for comedy because, like the show tonight, I assume there's going to be some expats, some locals, all sorts of people that have nothing in common except knowing English at a level that's high enough to go to a comedy show. So I think this is amazing, and this is happening all over Europe. Like tomorrow we're gonna go to Kyiv, and the show's already sold out, and it's similar.
Awesome.
It's like foreigners and locals all speaking English. That's why this is possible, and this is growing all over Europe. Like the fact that we can live out of touring constantly. All over Europe and outside of the continent. This is amazing. And this is all because of English, right? Like you can't go with Dutch to Yerevan. You know what I mean?
I had 2 Dutch people in the audience in Yerevan, so could have been, but it was a small show.
You showed me.
Do you do shows in Dutch?
Not really anymore. Also, I don't really live in the Netherlands anymore, so I like visit for maybe 1 or 2 months in the year in total. And then to start working on a Dutch set again just feels like a waste of time almost for that short period, because it's not like some jokes you can translate, but not everything translates. So I don't really bother anymore. Like I occasionally do one because it's like a friend organizing it and he like insists, and it's fun to see those friends again. So more for like seeing some people out of that scene, because it used to do a bit more Dutch comedy, but now that I'm fully on the road, not really anymore.
Interesting. How about you? Have you done stand-up in Romania?
Oh, it's a bad idea.
Why?
Because I talk about, like feminism and racism, and Romanians go like, no, not here. This is not happening here. And I'm like,
especially your religious material is appreciated a lot.
The things that I do in English are for an international crowd who maybe speak English as a second, third language, who have read a book or two, who are a little bit more open about certain ideas. If I talk about the things that I talk about in Romanian to a Romanian audience, it's almost impossible to tell them like, hey, you are like the Ukrainians and the Hungarians and everybody. And they go like, no, we're not. Look at us. We're just Romanians. But if it's an international crowd, I can tell someone from the Netherlands that they're like someone from Burkina Faso and Taiwan, because they're like next to each other, like sat next to each other and laughing and horrified by the same things. So I don't want to
that's interesting.
Narrow the field of the jokes.
You could be the one that promotes those ideas and makes it to be an idea that people talk about.
I prefer being alive.
He had his death threats.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh. From like individuals, organizations. Well,
entire country.
I had a video a week ago that I posted on TikTok. It got to 1.7 million in 24 hours.
Oh.
The entire country of Albania is waiting for me to
you don't want to fuck with Albanians.
put an official apology.
Basically, he came to Ukraine because he's safer here.
So you had to make an official apology?
I'm not gonna, because it's like a joke.
You can
they
do it
should
now.
calm down. Huh?
You can do it now quickly.
If you want an apology, go to Serbia. They should apologize. See, this is the kind of jokes that I can't do in Romanian.
In general, by doing English in non-native speaking countries, you do get a more progressive audience. So there's just a basic, like a little bit of a filter there already.
That's interesting. Yeah. So in that country, you get like
the smartest people, right? Because tonight it's not going to come like the Ukrainians who are going to come to the show. They're
it's
some of the smartest people in town.
Want to learn another language,
but they already know it, so they already know ideas because they can read books and they can listen to news in another language.
And they're often a bit more traveled, because both of us, we often touch on, other countries and how it is there, whatever. So they've seen a bit more. That's also, by the way, one of the reasons I don't really perform in Dutch anymore, because in Dutch, depending on where you perform, the audiences there can be a bigger difference within audience inside the Netherlands than outside of the Netherlands. Because if I'm in Amsterdam, in a progressive club, you get like very, highly educated progressive people. And then when I'm in the countryside, they just want to hear dick jokes. That's it, basically.
Okay, interesting.
Or vagina jokes. Let's not, you know what I mean? They like vagina jokes as well.
I don't think they're even ready for that.
Non-binary jokes.
And I was in an interesting situation maybe a month ago. I met a guy, he was Polish, and he said that he know only 3 languages, and he was very glad that I understand him in English because he know Polish, English, and Russian. And he said, I don't want to talk to you in Russian. I know that you will understand, but I don't want to. I prefer to speak with you in English. And it's great that you can understand me and can say something to me. So...
Yeah, that's respect right now, because it would be very disrespectful to speak Russian to Ukrainian these days. I mean, some might not mind, but generally we would, because
but most of
the
all
issues that we have with Russia these days.
What happened?
Be careful, because someone can give you with a cup for your head.
Oh, Lord.
Well, Valeria, out of all of us, knows the best what happened, because she got to see a lot of horrible things, like right there in Kharkiv, and she was there for a while in the beginning of full-scale war.
But I haven't seen a lot of very, very scary scenes, but it was enough for me.
I mean, it's very different to my experience, because I didn't. You saw your hometown being destroyed and being shelled every day. That's something that most of people who are native to Lviv didn't see like that. So it's obviously tough. Yep.
Yay, cheerful subjects.
Cheerful subject.
Yeah. We let our towns in Romania get destroyed too, but by time and neglect.
We'd like to speed things up.
Tough crowd, man. Tough crowd. I'm trying to brighten things up, guys. I know it's a problem. I know what's happening outside. Oh.
No, it's not a problem. We are joking about these things too. So.
Yeah. But I understand it's weird for someone coming from outside to joke about it. Yeah. Because when you live through it, there's like a connection in the pain, right? But then when someone comes from outside, then it seems a little bit different. Because it's the same thing when we do jokes, for example, about other countries, right? Like you talk to someone from Bulgaria and you go like, it's a shitty country. And they know it's a shitty country. Everybody knows it's a shitty country. But if I say it from Romania, they go like, who do you think you are to tell us it's a shitty country? We know, but you can't say it.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing.
Yeah, that also makes it still like I struggle with what can I joke about here on stage on the subject, because it's not my pain, it's your pain, and it's weird talking about somebody else's pain. Yeah. Because end of the day I'm going back. So. Yeah.
But I saw your video in Instagram about your experience in Ukraine after the full-scale invasion, and it was very interesting about delivery of food.
Food delivery.
Yeah.
And it's funny and it's interesting because it's kind of your experience based on something that's happening right now here. And it's great that you can tell about it in other countries to other people, to let them know that that is really happening here and you saw it by your own eyes.
Well, you guys are doing even more, not just you guys saw it with your own eyes. You're actually like making videos, TikToks, Reels, and like talking about it, and then that's stories, and that's amazing. We really appreciate it because, you get to share with the international audience.
Yeah, and it's doing it on stage outside of Ukraine. Is you get people coming to you afterwards talking about it, which is also nice that they actually ask questions. But with that joke, for instance, for me it was very important. I wanted to talk about it on stage because it felt weird having been here and then going back to the Netherlands, going back on stage and not even mentioning it. So I wanted to do something with it, but I also thought it was very important that Ukraine is not the target of the joke. It's like the subject of the subject, but the target is by comparing it to Dutch things that never work, to make more fun of the Dutch basically, and still being able to talk about it, which is, it still feels like a thin line, because sometimes outside of the Netherlands, when I start talking about it, the audience, always when I start talking about it, the audience goes dead quiet. It's as soon as you say, I've just been to Ukraine, it's like...
I've noticed that too.
And usually, while telling the story, they get back on track. But sometimes they're like, no, we still don't know how to feel about this or how to react. But then still, it's good to have talked about it, I guess.
I've noticed that I have to, like, when I perform somewhere else, I have to, like, ease them into it with a couple of just, like, funny, silly jokes. And then when I start joking about, like, my daily life in Ukraine, then they're less hesitant to laugh. Because if I just open up with a funny joke about the war, they're like, oh, are we allowed to laugh at that?
Yeah.
So they hesitate for a little bit,
There is something about humor that I've noticed that people equate it with ridicule. So it's the line between humor and ridicule is very fine and is defined by everybody individually. Because since the war started, I've been starting all my jokes with a joke about the war, because it's on my mind all the time, and it's on everybody's mind in Europe. It's like, but this is the thing. Even if you don't go through it, there is empathy. But I feel like we're so divided, and we think people are so different. Then when people joke, we think that they're probably not coming from the right place with that joke. So immediately something goes like, why are you making fun of me, right? Instead of, oh, I understand the pain, so that's why I'm making the joke, because we are empathetic as creatures. So I feel like this is something that we don't talk about. Because every time I get in trouble for doing jokes, people think like I'm making fun of them. But no, I'm saying like the reason why I think this is funny is because it's horrible. And I hope you think it's horrible too. So let's like settle this tension. You know what I mean? Let's like do something about it. Let's not just keep it. You know what I mean? Because, people usually say that, I'm from this country, but don't make fun of my country. Make fun of other countries. So you're okay with me making fun of other countries, but not your own? Because why? But you know what I mean? I come from a shitty country too. You know what I mean? I understand what it means to go through communism and to struggle. And you know what I mean? Maybe I haven't lived through full-scale war, but I see what's happening, and it doesn't make me go like, oh, this is a piece of cake. You know what I mean? There is an empathy that, and there is this fine line with ridicule when it comes to sensitive subjects. I think that's why people get upset at jokes, because they think it's ridiculing.
They confuse the subject with the target of the joke.
Yeah, and even sometimes the punchline is the sensitive subject, right? Like you can do a joke about the Holocaust, but the Holocaust can't be the punchline. But I'm like, yeah, but that's funnier though. Because see,
I think every comedian ever has come up with a joke that's like, it's funny as fuck, but you can never say it on stage.
But see, this is the thing, because you're smiling because we know this is horrible, right? Like we're not smiling because this is like it never happened. You know what I mean? Because the people who don't think the Holocaust happened, they don't think it's funny.
I mean, I'm shocked that those people exist, but they do though. They do.
I mean, they're always. If there's one thing we've definitely also learned the last couple of years, that there's always something believing or not believing something, however ridiculous it is. Because
like
I also get comments on my video like that there is no war here. Usually from like a truck driver in Liverpool. And it's like, while I'm reading that while I'm here, like, okay, cool. So you're telling me that what I see does not exist. It's not a lot, but I had a couple.
There are people like that.
Yeah, that just like...
They have alternative perspective. They're like, so they think to themselves, they're like, oh, maybe it's not all just like one-sided. Maybe Russia is not such a bad guy. And then they go to Russian news sources and they find all this conspiracy shit. And then they're like, oh, there's no war. What the fuck do you mean there's no war?
We can't live our lives because of these people. We can't like put... Because this is what I love about being here. It's like people go like, okay, these fucking Putin people, you know what I mean? They are fucking assholes. Look at what they're doing to our country. They're disrupting anything. But we won't let this get to us. we're going to live our lives. We're going to keep doing our things. We're going to take care of our family. We're going to go to our jobs. We're going to eat. We're going to cook for people. We're going to keep doing comedy shows. We're going to keep doing podcasts. And I think this is the attitude towards this. It's like, of course, there's people who don't believe in all of these things. But we can't live our lives because of them. You know what I mean? We can't like put barriers on what we're doing.
Yeah, and then in Ukraine, like was the full-scale war. Like the Ukrainians really learned to prioritize, and you just focus on what you can do and how you can help. You know, just helping the economy, like buying things locally. That's already helping. And everyone does it to like their own how much they can do. Some people are fundraising, some people are donating, some people are like driving up east and delivering some donations and stuff. It really united Ukrainians together, and every Ukrainian is like involved, and it's been like amazing experience in that to see Ukrainians unite like that.
Yeah, that's also what you sense, and what you mentioned with everyone being so kind. It's also kind of you feel that people are really driven, uniting stronger, and the sense of solidarity is huge right now because there is this common experience of horror and a common enemy, etc. That they're so kind, friendly, and supportive and understanding because you have this horrible shared experience which brings you together.
I think sorry, go ahead.
Oh, thanks. And even Ukrainians that are abroad, they are helping us also too much. And even a participation.
Much, a lot.
A
lot.
Never too much.
I know a guy that was keep his money for to buy a flat. But he spent all that money for donations. All of his money that he was keeping for many years, he was spent it into donations. It's
it's huge, but it's a decision that everyone makes for
I was
themselves.
shocked when
to him that was more important.
Note about it, and he said that peace in my country and helping army is more important than me have some for walls and that stuff. And even a participation in informational war is very important. So thank you for joining to our informational efforts.
You guys are in our forces now.
Comedy
force.
Genitals.
I think I can forget about that Russia tour I was considering. Don't think I'll get the visa.
After the things you said about Putin yesterday on stage, I don't think you can go to Russia. Or you'll have to be like, I don't know what Dutch have to trade you for. Do they have like an arms dealer that they have locked up, a Russian arms dealer? Dude, the recent news.
Yeah, with Bout, with Victor Bout. It's always a Victor doing the bad thing. So.
Oh, true.
I think it's for me, the way that I try to look at the world is through the prism of we're all the same, right? I know right now the case is like we're not all the same, as in we're not Russians, but we're all the same in the sense that we're all Ukrainian for now because of this situation. But to me, this is very humane. This is a very human reaction to having an enemy like this. The way that I interpret the Soviet and the communist times in both of our countries, that's why people bonded together, because they knew who the enemy was. It was the state, right? And that's why there were jokes, and everyone knew the jokes. And because there was a consensus, who is making life difficult for us? Oh, it's this entity, right? I was telling Fedor, there's an old Jewish joke about a Jewish man going to heaven. That's the joke. No. The joke is a Jewish man goes to heaven and he talks to St. Peter, and St. Peter goes do you know any jokes? And no, he talks to God, and God says, do you know any jokes? And the Jewish man goes I only know jokes about the Holocaust, but you wouldn't get it because you weren't there. And it's I don't know why I said that joke, but it's about humans going through tragedy and being united by a common enemy. And
well, I don't know about the examples that you compared it to, because like in communist times, there wasn't. There was one enemy, the state, but everyone was so repressed they could not speak up. So it was not really bonding.
They did, because there were jokes. There's like a collection of jokes in Romania, and the number of jokes grew from the 60s up to the
but you couldn't publish 80s. It. You couldn't perform with it because you'd be sent off to Siberia.
And everybody knew jokes. Like I don't, because you asked me a joke at the beginning, and I love city jokes, and I'm ready for like a joke. But nobody tells jokes anymore, because until recently there was no common enemy. It was like, it's just a political system, it's democracy. These people like these people, but this group likes this group. You can't tell. It's political humor is impossible in Romania at the moment, because you can't tell a joke about a political party, because half of the audience is going to go like, what's wrong with that political party? We kind of like that. You know what I mean?
Everyone's polarized.
Yeah. But when there's something so horrible happening to everybody understands, this is the common enemy.
Well, definitely, like the understanding is very clear at this point. Like it wasn't that clear when the war started 8 years ago.
Yeah.
Because the misinformation and like everything that was happening, some people were still like speaking like Russian and consuming like Russian content and stuff. But the beginning of full-scale war like really helped us was our identity as Ukrainians. So we know we're Ukrainians. We're not confused about that anymore, you know. But as uniting us, it was, I don't know if it was having the enemy, but it was mostly just like taking care of your own. The first day of full-scale war, it just united the whole Ukraine as a family. And I remember I was like on my phone nonstop, just messaging every single person that I've spoken to in a whole year, making sure they're okay, making sure like they're safe in a safe place, helping them coordinate, like if they're crossing to Poland or like looking for a safe place to stay, you know. And every Ukrainian was doing that, and that was. I've never experienced that. And then seeing like those awful photographs of the massacre in Bucha and Irpin and Hostomel, I cried like it was like, and I felt like it was my own like family members. Like I've never met these people, but like seeing them, they seemed so like familiar, you know, like, and so I think it's just we're closer together now as a country. It's not just like, we happen to live together. Now we're here together for a reason, and like we take care of our own.
Here's an interesting thing if we're talking about this. In Europe, the conversation is that it feels like there is a somewhat consensus that this is horrible, right? Like this is totally unfair. This is uncalled for. This is for nothing, right? Yet there are voices who say, yeah, but what about the other wars? Because this is where the common experience is bringing the Ukrainians together, but this is where the humanity brings everybody together. Because this is not the only atrocity that's happening at this moment in the world. So how is it for you? Because you lived through this, right? And you are also aware that there are horrible things, probably more horrible or less horrible happening in other parts of the world. What are your thoughts on that?
The war needs to be stopped. I never experienced war before. I had no idea what that is. You know, there's a war going on somewhere. I can't influence it. It's really far away geographically. I'm not familiar with that culture. What can I do? When the war came to my doorstep, like this is ridiculous. How is this happening? Why are people doing this to people? This should not be happening anywhere. And of course, I want all the wars to stop in the world, but all I can do right now is contribute to stopping this one, ending this one. So that's what I focus on, because you have to prioritize, especially when you're living in these conditions in the war zone, you know. What was your experience?
Now I'm thinking that it's a strange thing, because I was not crying when there was bombing, shelling, everything that stuff. I was crying when on the third day there was empty shelves in shops, And my neighbor, he has hens, and he brought me some eggs. And he said, "You have a child?" And he
shared the eggs.
It's hard to me to
Yeah.
to remember it because I was not crying from such a scary scenes, but I've cried about how are our people.
Yeah, coming together.
Because he don't wanted money for it. He said, "Oh, today I will help you. Maybe someday you will help me, and I can't give." I can't take money from you because I know that you have a child. You have to cook something for her, and that's it. And the ridiculous thing for me is that there was a lot of wars in the world, but in a lot of wars, Russia was an aggressor, and they don't stop them because. Chechnya, first time, second time, Georgia. Crimea, Donbass,
Syria. Afghanistan. Yeah.
And it began not from Russia. It began from the Soviet Union, and it's still happening. And why? Why is one country think that they could do anything with any country?
Their argument is America is doing worse.
Well.
I know, but this is like
America's not bombing
I don't
shit
agree
out
with
of
it.
us.
But America is like invaded Afghanistan and Iraq. Like I was watching last
They
night
don't have
about
a good resume.
Julian Assange, the way that they invaded, because their army actually is good. Like the Russians, they were using paper maps, and you know what I mean. They're like it's disastrous. Yeah. Like it's funny how bad they are, right? But the Americans, oh my God, just destruction on a level that, it's, and that's their argument. It's like, because the Russians think that, this is a Cold War and they're competing with the Americans.
Well, that's what they claim it to be.
But
they all understand
Poland,
that it's not if they were to think logically, but that's an idea that they are spreading around. Yeah. Obviously, it's not. This is Ukraine.
Yeah. So internationally, this is their argument. What I think the message coming from Ukraine is this is a democracy and you guys want to be European. You want to live in a democracy. Yeah. This is a choice. But the way that the Russians present it in the rest of the world is that NATO is coming and making bases here. And the European Union is pushing to come here. But I think it's important for the Ukrainians to speak up and say like, hey, no, we want this. Right? This is not somebody coming and invading, because this is how they're presenting it. They're trying to save Ukraine from America.
Yeah. There's no reason, there's no way to like argue with the propaganda, Russian propaganda. It's better not to even get involved in those conversations, because all they do is they just shift the narrative. Like they, instead of like admitting to the horrible crimes they're committing and the genocide of Ukrainians, that's what's happening here. They're killing Ukrainians just because they're Ukrainians for no other reason. And they will never admit that, but instead they will shift the narrative of the conversation, of the dialogue to like, oh, but didn't, I don't know, America was involved in your whatever. They'll make up whatever, or just like different claims. And it's very dangerous to listen to that, to get involved with that. See, in Ukraine, we've experienced the influence of Russian, like, news and their like propaganda machines, and we kind of developed an immune system to that, and we know how to filter it out. And right now, like, we're trying to teach the rest of the world how to understand what's Russia's saying, and like it's all bullshit, and like the way they can influence the world. And
because Russian propaganda is infiltrating in Europe as well, so
yes,
their trolls are very active, like on all, like I have like a lot of videos saying for like fuck Putin, and there's a lot of people commenting like with Russian propaganda, right? And people believe it because in Europe it comes from European sources. So they're so infiltrated in each country that in Romania, for example, they have TV stations that they help fund. So they're pushing their agenda. So the argument is done in Romanian. And Romanians go like, oh, a Romanian is telling me this. It's not, they don't see the puppeteer, the Russian puppeteer, right? So this is the strange thing. It's not clear in the sense of like coming from Europe that Ukrainians. It is clear that Ukrainians are fighting for independence, but it's not as clear that you guys want to be European. Like coming here and seeing, like being through all the bars and the restaurants and meeting all the people.
And all the European flags.
Everybody wants a nice life, wants a better life, wants democracy. You want to have your own country and run it as you will.
I mean, the way we have
But
our own country and we have democracy. And we just want to protect it.
Yeah, because the Europeans would I think they would be more strongly on the Ukrainian side.
I think
Which
we should
they are.
develop
I think
a strategy of how
to communicate
this
the message and
marketing
make it
message.
clear.
Four of us.
But that's why we're talking. Because I think like if anyone watches this, it's your side of the story. It's not really heard because it's very rare where Ukrainians do stuff in English. Like I like that Zelensky is very aware of social media, and he's very aware of how propaganda can be used to, because it's all propaganda. Everything that's filmed is propaganda. But
he's very good at using like technology, making a good a good quality picture. You know, communicating to people of Ukraine and people outside.
And outside.
He's been very good at that.
But the voices of the normal people, like you guys.
Yeah. We're trying to encourage our comedians to do more performances in English, to write stand-up in English. You know, this is what we can give them because we have a platform for that here. Of course, if you are able to speak English, you can do a lot of things. You can do blogs. You can do like ways to communicate about what's happening here, your experience to other countries. And so this is why we founded this channel, Ukrainian Stand-Up Comedy Channel, and we decided to do PeaceTalk podcast, where we talk about stand-up comedy and war. Great combination.
Comedy and war.
Yeah, comedy and war.
I think bombing brings them together.
Yeah, that's what brings us.
There's a common thing.
But that's a problem that Ukrainians, a lot of Ukrainians are living in their Ukrainian bubble. And we cannot speak about a lot of things to other countries, to other people to hear us. So...
And also issue was that a lot of Ukrainians were consuming a lot of Russian content. And now they stopped, but they don't know how to fill that gap. But now there's a lot more Ukrainian.
That's why we're here.
To fill gaps in Ukraine.
That I didn't mean in that sense.
Okay.
So this is funny. This is what you've been waiting for. So this is an interesting thing that I found out while here, and I want to ask you guys. So what is the situation with the TV? So at the moment, as I understand it, there's one TV channel working. It's the national TV channel, and it's just news about the war.
Yeah.
And I think what's very interesting is the way that you guys communicate. Because the way that we communicate it is Instagram, and you guys communicate through Telegram, which is encrypted, right? So I think this is a detail that a lot of people don't know. That TV, like all the cable TV station, they're shut down. Is that correct? Or what's happening?
No,
what is on TV?
When the full-scale war started, all the TV channels united and formed one national channel, and they would cover the news about the war nonstop, 24/7, and it's just the news, and it's being broadcast on every channel.
So on every channel is the same show, basically.
I don't have a TV. I don't watch TV. I was staying with my aunt and in the beginning of the full-scale war in February. So that's how the TV was. It was just one channel, one program on the same channel, the same news program, just covering the most important events. Now, I don't know. I feel like some channels are renewing their own programming, but I'm not sure. Do you know anything about TV stations?
No, I have no TV.
I mean,
but about programs, there are a lot of programs that are started now. So I think that some channels using their own. Since not only a national.
I'm not sure about cable because I watched some shows. I had some promotion and they gave me like free channels on my phone. So I watched. I didn't really watch. I just looked at what's happening, and it's just TV shows. So like if you're watching through like on internet, you can just watch any show, but on actual TV. I don't know, I guess just news. But the way I get news, and I think most of people in Ukraine, since the war started, it was a Telegram channel because you join the public, like a group, and you get like news really fast from like first source. Also kind of tricky because sometimes it's fake news. You know, someone heard somewhere that this is going to happen and they like spread that information because it's just a group, you know, anyone can like speak up.
Free for all.
Yeah. But like there are channels of official news channels, right? So you can follow those and then you get your news on your smartphone as a message. So that's what it's been like. Yeah,
and
what do you
I'm
guys
taking
use?
a lot of news from Instagram channels of Volodymyr Zelensky.
Oh, yeah, Instagram. Zelensky's Instagram is a good news source too. Dog Patron, very good news there. Great content.
Nice pictures,
Nice pictures.
I remember because before I came here, my documentation was Fedor's vlog that he made from his last trip, and I was like, "How do I prepare for a war zone? I'm gonna watch Fedor's vlog, right? Because it's in English and I understand him. He's my friend."
Don't know if that's the best.
Where can it be found? Is it on YouTube?
Yeah, YouTube.
Okay, it's your blog.
Fedor Ikelaaar's.
Fedor and comedy. You find it. I think.
So again? This is my favorite thing: jokes. He said that while in Kiev, people were dealing with the situation by doing jokes. And he said a joke, if you want to say it.
I don't remember what I said.
The joke about the broken, like the torn down building. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there was Alexander, I think he was saying.
Alexander
like the
Kachura.
buildings next to him got destroyed, so now he has a better view.
Yeah, he has a better view.
That's dealing. Yeah.
Great joke out of horrible thing happening. Do you guys know jokes like that?
Well, Valeria has about the.
I have 2 videos about that scenes because when I started to perform in English for the first time, I thought that I need to tell something about that is happening. And my favorite joke is that in 2013 I was in Crimea, and then it was captured by a foreign country. In 2021, I was in Berdyansk and now is captured by a foreign country. And this summer, I wanted to come to Sochi, maybe Moscow.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
And another one joke is about my friend. He had bomb into his yard. And when he saw that hole in his yard, he said, "Awesome. I was so many years too lazy to dig a hole for swimming pool myself." So
gotta stay positive.
Right?
That's a good twist. You need to do something with it, you know, with the horror.
And you guys are here to keep the positive spirits up, and we thank you for that. And we're really looking forward to tonight's show. We need to wrap up the podcast, but any last words?
Don't say
for the
any
audience.
Mom.
Any first words?
I love you. Oh, my wife as well. Sorry.
Well,
Fedor's mom.
Who's the mama's boy here? Mom is number one for this guy. Yeah.
I thought that he said, "I love you, Mom. I love you, Victor," and my wife, of course.
He's not saying anything about me.
He was talking about you for all the.
You got enough
posts.
attention.
Yeah.
I'll insult you later. Don't worry.
Also, we were suggested by our manager strongly to say that if you have friends who are international comedians, they're welcome in Lviv. We have venues where you can perform, and we can organize events for you, and we would love to see you. Just remember the conditions of the country currently, but we'll make sure that you're safe and provide you with yummy food. Tell your friends.
We will. I do. Actually, it's weird to recommend like a country which is at war, but I do actually. No, it's recommended it to him. He's here, and you know.
There you go.
Yeah, you seem to be very persuasive. Well, since you got him to come here.
I brought the most disposable one first. If this goes well, I bring the better ones.
I don't know if it's good to say.
The Albanians paid me to bring him here.
Can we send open micers?
Open mic.
Still do more damage than. Oh Lord. Thank you very much for having us here, and for being so open to have like weirdos like us in such a sensitive time for you personally. So,
you guys are our favorite weirdos.
Thank you for being kind and warm.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for watching. So please subscribe to our Ukrainian stand-up comedy channel on YouTube and follow us for more podcasts and more stand-up comedy content.
And also you can subscribe on our other social media in TikTok, in Instagram, on Facebook. So we are waiting for you.